Awesome. Let's get started. Great. So welcome once again to the Cloud Richard 4-week bootcamp, where we want to bring you up to speed with everything foundational that has to do with the cloud, specifically the AWS cloud. And the reason why we chose AWS cloud, it could have been any cloud provider, right? We have Amazon, that's AWS cloud. We have Google, that is GCP. We have Microsoft, that is Azure. We have DigitalOcean, we have IBM, we have Alibaba Cloud. See, there are a whole lot of vendors and providers, cloud service providers, right? But we chose AWS for the obvious reason. AWS is like the biggest cloud provider now. It has the largest market share, and they are actually the pioneers of cloud computing, right? So we decided to go with the biggest guys in the game. Okay, awesome. Great. But all the things we learn here are transferable, right? You can master the skills on the AWS cloud and easily transfer your learning or your skills to any of the other cloud service providers. So basically, what they do is that the names of their products or their services may differ, but in actual sense, the concepts are still the same. So you don't have to master all the three clouds from the word go. No, just pick one, master it. When you have a good grasp of it, all your learnings is easily transferable to any of the other cloud service providers. At the top three, AWS number one, followed by Azure from Microsoft, then number three, Google Cloud Compute from Google. Okay, awesome. Before we get started, let's just go through this homepage we have over here, right? So this is our homepage. Now, when you come to the homepage, if you don't have the link, let me just copy it and send it right now to you in the chat. Okay, so I've shared the link in the chat with you. Okay, great. Now, this homepage may not be so friendly, right? That's why I want to spend just a minute to go over what you find here. So the start here just begins this place. We have the tabs here in the navbar. We have the curriculum. So if you've not yet downloaded our curriculum, please do so. When you click this button, you are brought to a link, right? Over here. You can find this link over here. So even right on the home page, you see this tiny link here. If you click on it, it will download the full curriculum and what we are going to run for the rest of the 4 weeks with you. So you have a fair idea of what we are doing. Great. You can also add every week to your calendar just in case you don't forget. Awesome. Then besides that, these are the checklists for us to have completed by now, right? And I know number one on the list has been an issue for many of you. Nevertheless, it shouldn't be a showstopper, right? If you've not yet created your AWS account, you can equally benefit from all that we are going to learn over the 4 weeks. And somewhere along the 4 weeks or within the 4 weeks, you can find some time and create that account, right? And then you can get your hands dirty. But even before getting your hands dirty, you need to understand the theory, the principles, and what someone actually built, right? That you can follow easily. So don't let this be a roadblock for you, right? Just take your time, create the account. If you're having challenges, go to our Q&A, ask your friends. The support team is there. I'm there, and we may help you solve the issue. So let me just mention two of the things that have been helpful to those who have had challenges so far. One thing is creating the account and getting your confirmation message. If the message is not coming through, the recommendation is even right here. Try switching your network service provider. And if it doesn't work, contact AWS support. But one smart move one person made was to try to create the AWS account using their mobile phone. And they found it easier to set up the account that way. And they got the message also coming in quite early without any strain or stress, right? So that's with the number one thing. And all of these things are kind of animated for you to just walk through. When you click on this, it takes you to all the steps you need to go. You visit aws.amazon.com. Then you click on create AWS account. You provide your details, your email address, and then you fill in some other personal stuff. You add your payment, your card details. And as we mentioned, they will take $1 to verify you're a real human. Take that and then just refund that $1 soon after, right? Then the multi-factor authentication, right? They have to use several factors to check whether you are really a good person. And I trust everyone that is called is a good person. So they try to validate your phone number. If possible, you can download Google Authenticator and you add that as an MFA. So these are just security checks that AWS wants to take, right? You just make sure you go through them. If you have any challenge, please reach out to us in the Q&A group. Then this is just an extra, right? You don't have to do it, but you have to do it. So you go and look for your billing in your AWS console. Then you just set an alarm and set a threshold amount so that in case you are exceeding this amount in your spend, you just receive an email. This is particularly helpful for those who are not using the free tier account. Most of you just set up your free tier account and you may not have to worry about this now. But it's just good practice, right? To always have a alarm on your billing, right? So in case you are spending more than you can contain, you receive an email, you get into your AWS account and you shut down services you think are costing you so much money. So this is just for the AWS account setup. Okay, let's go back. Second thing is like the easiest, setting up a GitHub account. You just go to github.com, right? github.com, provide your email. They send you back an email for you to confirm your email. Then the other things so you don't have to do the generate SSH keys for now. You just set up the account, okay? And possibly they may ask you to add MFA, multi-factor authentication, maybe authenticate your number or something. That's enough for now. Don't stress with generating SSH keys and adding SSH keys. We may do this later if need be, right? Awesome. Then the next one is Python, right? For all of you who want to learn how to program, write code. This is very good because we are going to be working with code somewhere from the 3rd week, 4th week. We'll be dealing with some Python code, probably. So this is just to get prepared for that. So you go to python.org. There's a website, python.org. And you just add /downloads. It takes you straight to where you can download Python, right? Then you download the installer. Then you open the installer. Then during the installation process, you may come along meeting something like add Python to path. Please make sure you do take this, okay? Adding Python to path makes your whole computer know that there is Python on your computer. If you don't do this, some parts of your computer may know there is Python. Other parts will be like, hey, we don't know that there's Python on this computer. So when you try running Python commands, those parts will tell you, I don't know that anything called Python. So adding Python to path makes Python universal, everywhere, traceable. It can be found no matter where you try to run Python from your computer. And this is just a smoke test, right? To find out whether you really have Python on your computer, you just have to type Python hyphen version. Let me just show you how that works. So I'm opening my CMD. I just click on the Windows key. I open my CMD, that's my command prompt. I click on it. And the command prompt, some of you are afraid of it. You don't have to be scared with it, right? Of it. So this is my command prompt. This black screen we usually see, right? And if I really have Python, I'll just type Python hyphen version. And I hit enter. That's all. And I see I have Python on my machine. Some of you, this command will not work. So you have to do Python and add a 3 and do hyphen version. And it will work. For me, both of them work, right? So depending on the computer you're using, Python hyphen version will prove that you've really successfully installed Python. And some of you may have to just add a 3 because currently the version of Python we're using is Python 3, right? And this will also show you the current version of Python you have installed. Awesome. Great. So once you perform that quick test and you see your Python version, it means you've successfully installed Python. Okay, then the last thing, my favorite, master the terminal. Over here is just an animated walkthrough, right? You don't have to do anything. You just have to watch what is going on. So I teach people Linux because I feel and believe that anybody who wants to work with servers. Now, who are the people who work with servers? Data analysts work with servers, cloud computing guys work with servers, web developers work with servers. Who should I even leave out of the equation? Almost everyone in the tech space, right, doing development works with servers. And these servers are kind of special, right? They use a special operating system we call Linux. Okay. So with Linux, it doesn't behave like Windows, right? Even the terminal of Linux doesn't behave like Windows. So we just have to learn some few commands, how to actually move around a Linux machine. So that's what all of this is about. So you have to install Git Bash. So you don't have to buy a server before you know how to work on a server, right? There's a tiny little software you can just install on your PC called Git Bash. With this software on your PC, you can run commands that we run on big servers right on your laptop. That is the cool and amazing part of Git Bash. And I love Git Bash so much. Now, just a quick note. Let me make my screen bigger in case you're not seeing what I'm illustrating. So those who are using Mac machines, don't worry about this. Mac has Linux already baked into it, right? So you can run Linux commands in your Mac terminal and it works without installing Git Bash. Obviously, if you are using a Linux machine, you don't have to install Git Bash. Linux is Linux, right? So the only group of people who need to do this installation are the Windows users, my Windows users. You may have to install Git Bash to have a feel of how Linux servers work. As simple as that. Okay, so you go to Git Bash, just type Git Bash in your URL in the browser search, and then you are able to download Git Bash, right? And then just run through all of the installation. So if I just go to my browser and I type Git Bash, and I just add a download to it, it takes me straight to Git Bash. So you can see Git install for Windows. I click on this, it brings me straight here, and I can click here to download. It will work, right? So just the click here to download. I click, then the installer begins to download my Git Bash for me. You can see it right here. It's downloading. Once it's done downloading, just open it and just click on next, everything next till it's done. And once it's done, you have Git Bash on your laptop. As simple as that. You can now run all the powerful Linux commands right from your laptop. Okay, awesome. Yeah, those who are having challenges hearing me, please check on your internet connection, right? You can get out of the meeting and join again, and you'll be back on track with us. Awesome. Are we following? Just give me a sweet if you are following. Just type sweet in the chat. Let me know you're following me steadily. Okay, some few sweets are coming. Awesome, awesome. Great, great, great. Okay, so once you install Git Bash on your computer, you should be able to run Linux commands on your machine, right? A quick reminder, Mac users don't have to install Git Bash. Linux users, obviously, you don't have to. It's this only for Windows users, right? Okay, now this is a popular way I teach Linux, right? What do you have to do? You can open Git Bash, let it consume half of your screen. Then the rest of your screen is just your desktop, right? Don't touch it. Now, reason why we do this is that each time you run a command here, we want to see the effect of the command on the Windows machine. So as you walk through this animated explainer, when I do pwd is just a command which says print my working directory. Just another way of saying, where am I on my machine? And it says that, hey, you are in the users C drive users chat. Maybe that's where I am on the desktop. Then another command called ls. Let's say I'm in a different location, right? And I type ls. And I see a lot of things being listed here. I have desktop, documents, downloads, pictures. And wait, look at the right side. These are exactly the things located in where I find myself. So ls is just like your eyes on a Linux machine. It enables you to see the kind of things you have wherever you are, right? That's ls. So once you type ls on the server, it just lists all the things at your current location, right? That's all. Then cd is just a way of changing your location on a Linux machine. So cd means change directory. I may be in a different folder. I want to go to another folder. On a Linux server, you can't be using back the mouse to click stuff, right? I can't click stuff on a Linux server. So if I want to move from one folder to another folder, I just have to use the cd command. Don't worry, we are going to do hands-on on that. So don't worry, I'm just going over it. Then what about if I want to create a folder? This is the command, mkdir. Since I can't use my mouse, it's just one line command, mkdir, and I create a folder. And I'll see the folder appear. So when I do mkdir my bootcamp, I will see that a my bootcamp folder will be created. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, it is. Linux is that lovely and that fast. Okay, so I create a folder called bootcamp. So mkdir make a directory for me, bootcamp. It creates the folder. After I create the folder, I want to now step inside the folder. What command do I use? I use cd, right? Cd will just take me into that folder. Cd means change directory. Another way of saying change my location. So cd bootcamp, we are now inside the bootcamp folder. So you can see it has opened the folder. Then, whilst we are inside the folder, you see that we just created some files here. How are we creating these files? We are not using the mouse. We are using a command called touch. So touch notes.txt, and voila, it creates the notes.txt for us. Touch readme.md, voila, it creates the readme.md for us. This is Linux. It is so fast and it's so easy. That is if you know the commands, right? Okay. So basically, these are some of the few Linux commands that you get introduced to when you open that explainer. That is this very one. Master Linux, the terminal, right? Obviously, this will not make you become a grandmaster of Linux, but at least you can tell your friends, hey, I'm a hacker. I can now use the terminal. Awesome. Great. So those are the few things I want to take note when you open the landing page, right? How to set up your AWS account, how to create a GitHub account, how to install Python, and a little 1-minute introduction to Linux and the terminal. Okay, now just today we were able to drop the content of week 1, what we are to discuss today and what we are to go over today. So this is the content. 4 weeks, week 1 has been launched. So we are going to introduce ourselves to S3, EC2, and some IAM basics, right? With 11 slides to walk through, not much to do today. Then we'll do one lab, one more lab for you as homework. Then you take your quiz to certify and validate that you are really good to go. Okay. What more do we have on this page? You can subscribe to our GitHub account and watch the repo. I'll talk more about this in our next meeting, right? Right now, let's not dive into that today. Obviously, all of you are on our WhatsApp platform. And this is my favorite section of the whole page, the story explainers. Now, these are stories. You can go ahead and read any of them. In Kuma Valleys, you can read about it. And what these stories intend to do is to teach you about the cloud, right? Some of the terms we use in the cloud, they may look a little scary at first, right? But these stories make sure that all those stuff sound like second nature to you, right? Become easy for you. Currently, when you read them, you may not really get the full message they are trying to convey, right? But during our lessons, okay, I will come here once a while, pick a story, and use it to explain something I'm trying to get to you, right? So in Kuma Valley, I'll use it to explain. When we get to networking, I'll pick this story. When we get to auto scaling, I'll come here. When we get to IAM, which we may look at today, I'll come here and pick the story. When we are doing RDS databases, I will come here. When we are doing AWS regions, I will come and pick up the story. When we are doing SQS, SNS, I will definitely come here and pick the story. And who knows, you can create a story around any of the services the way you understand it and send us a mail, right? If you send me a mail or you ping me, I'll add your story here. And then instead of just seeing a week one or week something, I'll add your name right under the story. And the whole world gets to know that you created the story for us to help all those who all over the world who want to bring into cloud, enjoy the cloud. Isn't that great? So I'm waiting to hear stories. Maybe by the end of week 4, some of you have better stories than what I've even created here. And we'll share it with the whole world. Awesome. I'll add your name, your country, and then your story. Amazing, right? Okay. Now to keep this whole page, you see, this is a dark page, right? It may look so boring, and we don't want it to be gloomy. So we wanted to lit up the page with a joke of the day. See, I'm not really a comedian, right? But I tried my best to put a couple of jokes here just to keep the page lit, right? So you may find my jokes to be dry, but please, these are my jokes. I own them. And one thing with the jokes section is that, so if I click on the jokes, okay, it opens a joke section. Now, those who are on mobile phone, I think that those nav tabs are not working. I will ask the developers to work on that today. But if you open this link on a laptop, see, you can come to this section easily. Let me go back. So on the navigation bar, you see that there's a jokes button here, right? When you click on it, it brings you to the jokes section, right? We have to keep our learning fun. We have to make our learning interesting. We can't be learning cloud in a very boring and dull way. No, that's why we're doing all of this. Now, I've also opened up submissions of jokes, right? So if you have a better joke, see, I'll delete my jokes and put your jokes there, right? These jokes, I feel like some of them are really dry, but I said, it's my jokes. I created them. Don't laugh at me. So you can come here, you can click on surprise me. It gives you a random joke, right? Or you can just be scrolling through our jokes to see whether they're interesting or boring. But see, I know you guys may have something more better. Some of you may be more creative than we are. So just, you want to submit a joke, click on the submit form, right? It opens up your name so that we can acknowledge you, the service you want to create a joke around, and then just give us your joke. Just 3 things to fill, and you click on submit. It comes straight to Cloud with Chat. We will add your joke here. We may delete some of our boring jokes and put your joke here and add your name, your country, and then we celebrate you for being funny, right? Awesome. If it sounds good, just stay sweet in the chat for me. I want to see a sweet. Does it sound good? Yeah. It is an open source project, so we want all of you to be involved, right? We want everyone to be involved in making this an amazing learning experience. Okay. Then obviously we have flashcards also here, right? Now, these things become useful when you are preparing for, or when it's getting time for you to write your exam, right? To really test whether you've really prepared well. So you come here, we have created 120 flashcards. I'll also add a submission of flashcards here. I'll add something like that. So that if you also have some things you want to submit for us to add to the library, we'll give you that opportunity to do that, right? You add your own kind of created flashcards, then we just upload them to what we have currently. Awesome. So you come here, what does AWS stand for? Then you click on it. If you don't know the answer appears at the back of the card. Amazon Web Services. Okay, you go to next. Then which AWS service offers object storage with 99.999? That's 11 nines, right? Durability. You may know the answer is S3, you may not know, but you can just click on the card, it switches, and it gets to Amazon S3, right? And to really check or track what you are doing, whether you're getting a lot of them correct or a lot of them wrong, when you see this one, you can just check, I knew it, right? And it will be marking you. It will keeping track of what you knew and what you didn't know out of the 120 of the slide decks. All of this to make sure that you learn properly, right? So we have visual aids, we have jokes section, and some other things may come aboard, right? We will just also add another open form. Anything you feel like we should add, maybe all our stories are too biased, maybe Ghanaian stories or Nigerian stories. You are from Namibia. You want us to give or add Namibian taste or flavor to it. You can submit your own story, and then we will add it also to the open source project. Awesome. I think I've gone through everything on our site. Now, one more thing, the self-paced section over here. See, when I was learning cloud computing, or when I was even breaking to the tech space, I told you guys two things. I used the live cohort, that's a live bootcamp like what we have now. And I also used self-paced videos. It wasn't just one over the other, it was both of them. So with the self-paced section, what we are trying to create here is the ability for you to come over here. We are going to upload 12 videos, right? Now, these videos are more aimed at helping you ace the AWS exam. So as you are enjoying the 4 weeks, these videos may even go beyond 4 weeks, right? They may even go up to even 12 weeks. But they are very short videos, like maximum 11 minutes in length, right? So you can just sit in one day and finish all of these videos. But they'll become especially helpful for you to get above 800 over 1,000 in the AWS exam, right? I know what I'm talking about. Most of my students have used these materials and they always pass the exams. I've not seen anybody who used these materials and failed the exam. It's not possible, right? And they are all for free. Underline that. Okay, so we just uploaded one so far. So let's look at it. I click on this card and it opens the first video for you. This is the video I shared today on the announcement page, right? So we are going to make sure that all of them are here. You don't have to be searching for them on YouTube, no? All the 12 or 16 videos will be uploaded here. And they are very, very short explainers. So when you click on this video, so over here, we give you these are like notes, right? But we've turned them into a video. So if you can watch the video, and we are going to also generate a podcast using AI, right? So that you can be in your car driving or moving. You may not be able to watch a video because of distraction. Or those of you who are just good listeners, when we add a podcast, you just click on listen and then you play and the podcast will play for you, right? And those who want to read, we'll give you a PDF version, right? So that you can just open the PDF, download it and read. Or you can do all three if you want to get 1,000 over 1,000 in the AWS exam, right? You're watching the video, you're listening to the podcast whilst you are driving. When you get to the office, you start reading, or when you're on the toilet, you're reading. And with this, trust me, it will be 1,000 out of 1,000. And let me just show a challenge. Anybody who's able to get 1,000 out of 1,000 in the exams, what should I give the person? Maybe I'll give you $100. Yeah, this is my challenge. To the first three people who are able to score 1,000 out of 1,000, I'm going to just send you $100. Wherever you are, Nigeria, Namibia, I have links everywhere. I'll send you the money. This is a promise. Are we excited about it? Let me see the sweet flow in the chat. I know some of you are extremely good. Someone said $1,000. Hey, you want to break my account? Don't do that. Okay. Yeah. Now, I have to acknowledge one of our sponsors, right? That is Get Skills Network. They've been so helpful in putting all of this together. Their development team and my support team, amazing guys, real amazing guys, right? I don't want to mention name because I may forget some. But obviously, you've met Jeff already. You know David, you know Newell, you know Eben. Oh gosh, I don't want to forget anyone. There's an amazing team, and very soon I'll put their picture here, right, so that you can see them. In case you see any of them walking behind the street, you can just say hello to them. I'll put their pictures on one of our pages. Awesome. Now the final thing about our page before we drop or step into what we want to discuss today is we give you also the opportunity to support us. It may not even be you, right? It may not be because most of you are students. We know that you are living on a tight budget. We understand that. But maybe you know someone who can support this course, right? Maybe your minister, your president, anyone. They can support. And if we get enough support, who knows, all our other courses, we just make them free and open source. Then you don't have to ever buy any AWS course or any cloud course. My team will work very hard to produce more of these courses. We have currently 12 AWS certification courses, right? We produce all of them. from the beginner to the advanced, right? They can now spend more time on this to just help me develop all of these courses and content for you for free. So if you want to support the support section here, just click on it. Not you, but probably you know someone who can really, really give us a big push. You can come here, over here, there's a normal mobile money payment support. It as little as 50 Ghana cedis, you can just help the team, right? Those who are also Bitcoin lovers, crypto, you can send USDT. And maybe your support is just a form of a prayer. Some of you may not have money, but you can have a prayer to offer to us. Don't worry. Send us an email with your prayer. We'll be glad to accept prayers. So you send us an email here, cloudrichat@gmail.com, and add your prayer or your encouragement, message of encouragement, and we'll read it, right? If your prayer is very powerful, we may even post it on our channels. Yeah, that is how our people are supporting us. They are praying for us. Amazing, right? Awesome. So we've gone through everything you need to know about navigation our homepage, the curriculum, the recordings, and yeah, the recordings. So this very recording or our Saturday recordings, we'll always upload them here for you. Self-paced learning materials, we'll fill it up for you. The stories, the projects. Yeah, these are the final projects that we're working on. Someone has already finished one, not to scare anyone, but some of those who join the course, some people are already advanced guys, right? So don't worry about that. We're all going to do it together, step by step. Then flashcards, the jokes, and the support. Any questions, you can drop it in the chat. The support team is in the chat, and they will help answer you. Great. Okay, so we're finished with part 1, navigating the web page. Now, part 2, we are going to begin the lesson. Before we do that, we take a quick 1-minute break. Just stretch around, take a cup of water, coffee, and then in 1 minute, we get back and start. Awesome. See you in 1 minute. All right. My 1 minute is up. Let's get started. Let's get started. So we are in week 1. So this is how to use the content. You come here, you open up the slides, right? That's the first thing we look at. So my slides have downloaded, right? And I just open it up. Okay, great. So we don't want to spend more than 10 minutes with these slides because there's a whole section for theory. The theory goes into the self-paced section, right? But when we meet over the weekends, we want to be doing more of practicals and hands-on than reading notes. Okay, so let's get started. Me share my screen. Great, welcome once again. And over here today, we want to be able to host our first web page, right? We want to be able to host our first web page, probably a portfolio, our portfolio page. Then we want to also be able to launch a real server. And we'll talk about what the two of them mean briefly. So we've already seen what the cloud is about, being able to rent computers, storage devices, and even a whole network, right? Together with AI services, which are sitting somewhere on a very powerful computer or computers owned by these big tech companies, right? Or big organizations and institutions. So we just want to rent them. When we are done using it, we just switch it off, and then we don't have to pay for the time we are not using those services. Now, this is a smart move for us because we don't have to pay so much money upfront. That's the whole deal. If I want to start a tech company, I need massive servers. I need to have about $1 million or $100,000 in my account before I build my tech company. I can't afford that as a startup. So Amazon has these big servers they are renting. I just sign up an account with Amazon and probably pay about just $10 every day to use those same kind of servers that I could have bought for around 1 million or $500,000. Isn't that sweet for me? That is good. That is just like a great deal. So we call that one, I focus on the operational expenditure rather than thinking of how to raise that capital. Everyone wants to start a business, and the big showstopper is always, I don't have the capital. So cloud says that, hey, you don't have the capital, come over. We'll give you our servers, our AI infrastructure, our networking services, our database services, our storage services. Just sign up today and choose what you want, right? From our showroom, choose what you want, and then start paying for it per hour or per usage. And that is like a good deal for us. So that's all about the cloud. So if someone asks you today, what is cloud computing all about? Just tell the person it's as simple as renting computers, even a whole network, database, storage, AI services from these big tech companies or from a big organization which has all of these servers, right? Now, how did Amazon even begin this game? Amazon was like a bookstore selling CDs and DVDs and what have you, right? And they were getting lots of clients buying through their website. So they bought more servers every year. They were expanding all over the world, right? Or at least on every continent, they were expanding. Then they realized that, see, all these big servers we have, at times we are not using them to maximum capacity. Maybe a big server, we are using only about 20% of its capacity. What about the 80% sitting there doing nothing? Even though our website is fast, but see, we are not really using the whole server. So they brought about cloud computing by suggesting that why don't we rent what we are not using, right? It's as simple as that. So they are doing a sort of Airbnb with their servers because they are using part of the servers, the other part of the servers or capacity that they are not using, they decide to just rent them, right? And then that was the whole thing about cloud computing. So right now, there's a whole business for them, right? And they are the biggest people in the team. So they just build more servers, build more services, and all they're interested in doing is doing a sort of Airbnb kind of model, renting their servers, renting their systems. Awesome. So that's cloud computing in under 1 minute. Next one, we'll be looking at EC, oh no, let's come here. Global infrastructure. As I said, they are spread all over the world, right? On almost every continent, you have an AWS infrastructure or what we call data center present. So data centers are just like a building with all of these big servers or computers in them. And AWS has data centers on every continent, right? So they have a global infrastructure. And if you watch the video that I shared this morning, it's also available on the webpage. You can go and look at it carefully. You see all of this. So the region is just like a very big geographical area. And if we break the region down into smaller parts, we'll get what we call availability zones. Further down the line, if you break the availability zones into also smaller parts, we'll get the edge locations. And we look at that. Okay, the core AWS services. Now, if you say you know cloud, at least you must know about three things. Number one, storage, right? So we talk about S3. Number two, how do you even create a computer or how do you access a computer? And that's why we talk about EC2, right? Elastic Compute Cloud. Then the last one is about security, right? IAM, security, identity and access management. Okay, awesome. So we'll meet our storage and then our compute services today. Today. Then we'll talk about some few architectural patterns and then we'll jump onto our lab. So this is what we are going to do right now. Let's get started. Okay, I've already explained this. You only on demand just means you can create it anytime you want to create it. So right now, I can go to log into my AWS account and I'm going to create service and nobody can stop me, not even AWS, right? That's what we mean by on demand. You create it whenever you want to create it. And within some seconds, the computer or the server will be created for you. Amazing, right? If I need 100 servers, I can create them. If I need 1,000 servers, I can create them. But just that my pocket will be crying. Okay. Now, after creating them, another term here, pay as you go. I only pay for what I use. So I can create 1,000 servers right now. And after creating the 1,000 servers, I can just shut them after 1 hour. And I will only be billed for 1 hour of using that 1,000 servers. Amazing, right? And global scale. Now, I may have clients who are in these countries, right? Tokyo, London, Cape Town. Cape Town is a beautiful place. 2 months I was there and I really loved the place. London, also an amazing town, right? A beautiful place. Tokyo, that's the place I've not been to. Maybe one of you take me there one of these days. Now, we can have clients all over the world or in these locations, right? And if my server is in Ghana or is in Namibia or Nigeria, and I want to serve customers or clients who are in these places, they may experience a lot of delay or browser loading delay when they want to open my website is delaying. So what AWS does is that, or what advantage we have here is that since AWS has a global infrastructure distribution, I can rather create a server somewhere close to London or Cape Town. And from there, I will serve my clients from those servers, not from the server in Ghana. So that is the advantage of having a cloud computing service provider who has wings everywhere or infrastructure everywhere, right? Awesome. So these are some of the things we have. Hello, sorry, I had a little interruption over there. Sorry. Okay, let's continue. Now, AWS is the world's largest cloud, right? And we've already mentioned this. Now, let's continue with this. Okay, now let's talk about the three breakdown of how wide we can spread ourselves using the AWS cloud. So currently, we have regions, right? And this is like the largest area we can talk about geographically of the cloud service provider being able to provide us service over that area or region. Now, so in this geographical location called the region, we simply have lots of these data centers. Now, as I said, the data center is just a building with big computers, right? So sometimes I get a question. Sometimes I get a question that these data centers, how would I know whether a data center is from AWS or is not from AWS? Now, the only way I can find out is that I cannot find out. That's the only way. Because once they start tagging these data centers with their names, what about if someone wants to sabotage the work that they are doing, right? For instance, if you have like the normal service, mobile service providers we have in Africa, like MTN, Telecel, Airtel, those kind of companies, right? If they start writing their names on their masks, when they mount a mask and they write their name on it, who knows? Another service provider may try to sabotage the other by going to cut their cables or whatever. So when they build a data center, they don't put AWS on top of the roof. No. But it's just a big building, very, very big, with servers, with lots of servers, AC, power supply, engineers working inside there, security guards, and what have you. It's a big place. It's a whole like small company. So we may have a region, and there are lots of these data centers over there. And these data centers, that is where these computing services are actually hosted, right? And used to serve clients. Okay. So we have more than 30 regions, and we'll look at the map later in the course. The map, how wide AWS spreads its wings. Okay, now, so we can have a whole region like South Africa, right? And of course, South Africa is not a region, AWS region. So with this region, okay, within the region, we have what we call availability zones. Now with availability zones, we just try to break down the whole region into other smaller locations or areas, such that these are a collection of data centers. So let's say when we put one or more data centers together, we have what we call availability zones, right? Awesome. So AZs are just created by group of data centers. So a group of data centers form an availability zone. Awesome. Now, why do we do this? We do this because we want to create a form of separation between AZs. So that when I'm creating services in one AZ, okay, and let's say there's a natural disaster, there's a hurricane, there's a flood, and all the data centers in that AZ get affected. Should my customers or my clients' services go down? No. Since the whole region is broken down into AZs, availability zones, if one AZ goes down, I can still run my services from the next AZ in that region. So whenever we are deploying a solution to solve a problem, that's a solution, right? We make sure that we don't just deploy all to one AZ, but we deploy it in different AZs, so that if one AZ is taken down, the next AZ will be up to serve our clients. Awesome. Now let's continue. Now every single region, right, should have 3 AZs minimum. It can have more than 3, but minimum it should have 3 availability zones. So if you want your country to be considered as a region, AWS region, then your country should prepare to have 3, or AWS will prepare your country to have at least 3 different availability zones in your country, right? So that it can now function as an AWS region. If AWS cannot create 3 availability zones in your country, then your country cannot be considered for a region creation, right? It's not all countries who have AWS or which are AWS regions. So we'll look at the map shortly, as I said. Now, the last one, edge location. Now, these edge locations are almost the same as data centers. Just take it like that. An edge location is just a single data center. And why do we have edge locations? And why don't we just call them data centers also, if they are really just data centers? Now, it's just because of how we use edge locations. So edge locations are basically used to deliver content closer to users, right? Now, what do we mean by closer to users? So the main AWS servers may be somewhere very far away, like the big supermarket very far away. But there may be a mini supermarket, which is like a small branch of the bigger supermarket, right? And that is closer to you. So with that, instead of walking all the way to the big supermarket, you just go to the mini supermarket closer to you, and that's an edge location. And obviously, you can get almost everything from the mini supermarket, right? It's just some of the really big stuff that you may have to really walk to the big supermarket. So an edge location is just a way of getting the services closer to you, at least most of the stuff you'll be needing day to day, right? Then so that you don't have to travel a very long distance to the main centers, right? That's what we call edge locations. So it's used for what we call caching, cache. Now, when you are opening a website for the first time, sometimes you open a web page, it takes about 30 seconds to load. The next time you open that same web page, it takes less than a second to load. And the question is why? And the answer is very simple. The first time you tried to open a website, that website was not available at the edge location. So your browser had to now send a message all the way to the big supermarket, that is the main center, which is far away. So it takes a long time to get there. Now, on its way back, it passes through the edge location and tells the edge location, see, your customer just requested for this. Please create some copies here so that next time the customer doesn't have to really go so far to get some. Awesome. Please don't forget, if you have any questions as I'm teaching, drop them inside the chat. The team is in the chat and they'll answer your questions for you. Okay. So we've seen the whole idea about edge locations, regions, availability zones, and edge locations, right? There are more, we have some animated explainers, right? And we'll be using them shortly to go over some of these things. Awesome. So let's continue. So as I said, you open a browser the first time, the information comes to you, it takes a long time, right? But the second time it comes faster. It just means that the small mini supermarket closer to you, okay, went to get a copy of those items which you got from the big supermarket. So the next time you want to buy that item, you don't have to travel all the way to the big one. It gets it for you. So the second time you try to visit the website, right? You realize that as soon as you click in the browser or type the URL, it opens instantly. And that means that the cache is working or the edge location is working for you. Is that clear? If it's clear, type good in the chat for me. Good, good, good. Just type good in the chat. Awesome. So if we look at the Ghana map, right, the whole Ghana may be considered as an EWS region. That's what I'm just trying to say. And within Ghana, the Ghana map, right now we have about how many regions? We have around 12 regions or so. Now, those regions will now become what we call availability zones. That's the idea, right? So it's just like a sub of your bigger area. So that's all it means. So don't get too confused. Right now, 16 regions here. Okay, awesome. Let's continue. We'll come and see some visuals on this. So if you don't get it right now, don't worry. I'll show you the visuals shortly. Now, two services that we are going to be using almost every single day. The first one is our computers, right? If you want to create a server, you go to Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. If you want to create a storage, we'll go to S3, okay? And then this just helps us to run code. Servers are just places that we put our website on, and that's why they are called servers. So when you put your website on a server, what would you expect it to do? It will serve your website to everybody in the world. That's why it's called a server. Okay. If you also, we also have database servers. If you put your database on it, it helps serve your data to maybe your website all over the world. And also when we want to store our pictures, our videos and stuff like that, we can do that with S3. So it's called Amazon Simple Storage Service, and it does that amazingly for us. Okay, now with compute, okay, we have EC2, but it's not the only service, right? It has other cousins. One of them is Lambda, one of them is ECS, one of them is Fargate. When we come to storage also, just take note, S3 is just one of them. But we also have other storage services we have as EBS and EFS, right? And they also behave slightly differently from S3. Lambda, ECS, and Fargate also behave quite differently from EC2. But EC2 is the main guy when you think of computers or servers. And S3 is the main guy when you think of what storage. Awesome. So the rest of the information, we'll just use EC2 today when we use S3. Basically that. Okay. Now, what is EC2 and what is S3 under the hood? S3 is just like a Google Drive. Just take that and we can end the story over there. So the way we use Google Drive to store pictures, files, folders, and what have you, that is how S3 behaves. So we could just call it an object storage, right? And what is EC2? EC2 is also just a computer, right? So if I want to create a computer, a very powerful computer, which we call a server on the cloud, I'll just have to look for EC2. Okay, now EC2 can be used to run, as I said, database server, a web server, and the likes. And the S3 can also be used to store images, videos, backups, lots and lots of data, and it's an amazing service, right? Now, the reason why we call S3 simple storage service is that it has some very wonderful behaviors, but we'll talk about them later, more of them later. But one amazing thing I want to take note of is that it can store objects all the way up to 5 terabytes, right? One single upload can be 5 terabytes big, and S3 will be able to accommodate that video for you. And you can store as many of those 5 terabyte videos you want in S3. And there is no limit to that. S3 stretches and increases with the kind of things you want to store inside there. The only thing that you may have to worry about may be your bill. But as to the number of items you can store in S3, it is unlimited. So that's a fun fact for you to take note of. Awesome. Let's continue. Now, we are doing too much talk. We want to jump straight to the practicals. The rest of the notes and the rest of the details would give it to you over the rest of the week. But let's just get started now. So now, why do we use S3 to host our portfolio site? Or why do you want to build this today? Reason is number one, S3 is very cheap, right? If you want to use it to host a website, that is today, you want to create a website and share the website with your friends, you can use S3 to actually do that. That sounds amazing. And you have to pay very, very little. In fact, some few cents every single month. Just some few cents, and you can do that without paying any huge bill. Okay, then one thing we can put on top of S3 is what we call CloudFront. And CloudFront will just make your website faster, right? Faster meaning that it will provide a cache for it. So that when someone tries to open your website, the person can open it easily. Then when we use S3 also, another advantage is that we don't have to create a server. A server like building a computer to host your website, we don't have to do that at all. The last one, many brands or many big companies are actually using this pattern to build websites. Awesome. Okay, so that's it. Now, before I talk about, or before we go into the building, okay, let me just take a little time. We are done with the theory for today. As I said, weekends are not for too much theory. So we just need to understand one more thing before I continue. Now, a typical website usually has about 3 parts. I want to just speak about this before we go on to building one. So we'll take another 3 minutes break after this, then we go to the hands-on section. So a typical website, okay, should have 3 parts. And we call the first part the front end, right? Let's take a quick web lesson today. So the front end Then we also have another part we call the back end, and then another part we call the database. Let's just understand it before we go to the hands-on section. So the front end, then the back end, and then the database. I know why I'm using this or this kind of distinctive differences, right? So the first one, front end. Now this is the part you see when you open your browser. So when you type www.google.com, what you actually see is what we call the front end, all the buttons, all the text boxes, all the input boxes, everything you see in the browser is what we call the front end. So typically front end developers, okay, they are the people who are tasked with building whatever you see when somebody visits your website. So if you want to build a website and you want it to be yellow, you want the font style to be this, you want animation on your website, all those things, it will be the front end guy who will be doing it for you, right? Then what about the back end? What happens there? Now, the back end, this is what goes on. So that's the part that you don't really see with your eyes. Back end stuff don't show on the browser, right? So when someone types their name, let's say they come to your site, you are the owner of Facebook or you build Facebook. I want to create a login, right? I want to create an account. I enter my name, I choose a password, and I click submit. Where is that information going to? The information will usually go through the back end logic, right? So we also have people who write code, okay, or programs to accept things that are coming from the back end or information from the front end. And they process that information, right, in order for the front end functionality or in order for the front end to work as intended to, right? What do I mean by that? If I intend to store my name or to change my status from, let's say, single to married, that's my intention, right? I want it to change. Next time I log into my Facebook account, I don't want to see my status as single. I'm no more longer single. Maybe I'm married, right? Or I'm changing from married to maybe single. That's what I intend to do. How would that work? That's the part that the back end takes care of. The back end will take all the information that you have given in the front end, processes it and make sure that it reflects in the front end as you intended those changes to be, right? So usually those information must come to the back end, it must be processed, and then the back end will now store it. So that each time you come back to the front end, you will see that those changes, they didn't go anywhere, they have been kept for you. You are still a single guy. Okay, let me pick my marker and show you something. So this is just what I want you guys to get before we move on. Then every other thing will become simple. As I said, if you have any questions, please drop it in the chat. My team is in the chat and they will help answer you. Okay, I picked my pen here. Good. So front end communicate with the back end. The back end logic also communicates with what? With the database. Hey, where are you going to? The back end logic communicates to the database for us. Awesome. Exciting. So usually when you want to host a website, now that's what I want to say. When you want to host a website, you are usually, or you may have to think about these three things, right? You may have to think about putting all of these three things together. My front end, my back end, my database. And usually when you hear somebody called a full stack developer, full stack, meaning that the person can do both front end and back end, right? Can do both front and back for you. Now, someone may debate, okay, that see, Shaq, the back end is actually both the logic and then the database. Yeah, you can say that, and you'll not be wrong. So maybe for a full stack developer, when you are talking about front end and back end, the person will put the logic, okay, the logic together with the database. and tell you that these two things are still not seen by the user in the browser, and hence we'll call both of them backend. But I just want to be able to separate these three things for you to see. So backend can still refer to both the backend logic and then the database, right? And front end will just still mean what you see in the browser. If you understand this simple illustration, please give me a sweet in the chat. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Don't worry, I can still go over it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we want to host a website, so at least let's understand it a little before we jump onto that. Okay, good, good, good. Awesome, awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you. So when you are hosting now let me just go about this again. Front end is what you see when you open a website, right? Or in the browser, all the things you see in the browser, that is front end for you. The part you don't see, we call it back end, right? And back end, as I said, I can still break it into two places or two things. I can break it into the back end logic, okay, or and the database, right? When I say logic, I just mean how we take input from the front end and how we process that input, right? And how we give feedback back to the front end. So that may just be like the back end logic. But part of that back end logic may still have to do with interacting with the database. And a simple example is I've opened Facebook. That's my front end. It shows in my browser. I'm creating an account, right? So I give my username and they say password. I choose my relationship status, right? When I finish, I click submit. Once I click submit, all that information goes to the back end because it must be stored so that when I log in again the next day, I will see that all the information I gave to Facebook, Facebook is displaying them in the front end again, right? So that approach, okay, of sending information from the front end to the back end and later on seeing it in your front end again, we need a logic. That's what we call the back end logic to do that for us. And the back end are not really, the logic itself will not be storing those data or those information. That is why we need a database, right? So that if you tell us you are called Shadrach and you are single, right? It will pick those logic, store them in the database. The next time you open your browser again, okay, and you log in, it will go and fetch all those details from the database, process it, and then feed it to your front end. And then you see your name in your account to be Shadrach, and then you see your other details that you give. This is how websites work. This is how websites work. So they work with like three things: front end, back end logic, and then the database. Awesome. Now, this is what we call a dynamic website, right? Because I can come into this website and change my details the next day. I'm no longer, let's say, single. I'm now mingling, right? And I'll click submit. And then information will go to back end. Back end will say, hey, this guy is no longer single. Interesting. How did he get out of that zone? Well, we'll talk about that later. Then he now sends that information to database. Database says, oh, I'll store this information. It's a very interesting information, right? Awesome. Then I log out. I log in again. Database says, hey, before you open and show Shadrach whatever he has on his website, take this information. He's not single any longer. He's now mingling. Backend says, oh, yeah, I remember that. I made you save it for me. Give it to me. Let me give it to the front end. It gives it the front end. And then when I open the website, I see that, see, my name is Shadrach. This is my profile picture. And I'm no longer single. I'm mingling. So these three things work together to give you the web experience that you've been having all of these years that you didn't know about. At least few of you. Are we good? I hope we're good. Yeah. Now, what are we going to build? Are we going to build front-end, back-end database? No. That's not what we are going to do, right? That one will be for another lesson, not today. So what we are going to do today is to just focus on the front end part. And whenever you are doing front end, we have code we use to build front end, okay? One of them is called HTML. Other one is called JavaScript. Let me say CSS and then JavaScript. Are we going to type these codes? No. AI will do that for us today. Or I've already prepared some for you to use. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript. This is all we need to build our front end. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Now, we'll take 3 minutes break and then we get building. No more fluff. But before that, I see some hands up. I'll be glad to let some people unmute and speak before we start building. Okay. I see one hand up. Let me just allow that person to speak. Where is that person? I can't see the person again. Okay, I can see the person. Yeah. Okay. Evolve. Can you unmute and speak?
Yes, Shad. Good morning.
Morning.
Please, in listing the tools we use for front end, you mentioned HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. From previous knowledge, somebody told me CSS is part of HTML, and you listing it as three different entities right now is getting me a bit confused. So,
Okay.
small clarity.
Okay. I don't know where the person came from. I don't know from where from the direction of which he's speaking from, right? But CSS is CSS. It's part of HTML. It won't be called CSS, right? That's my idea, right? So far as it has another name different from HTML, it means it's not the same as HTML. So HTML means hypertext markup language. CSS is for cascading style sheet. The name is cascading style sheet. It's used for styling, right? HTML is used for building structure. So HTML is like building your house, maybe the raw blocks, right? CSS is used for, let's say, plastering the house, painting the house, all the decorations. That's CSS. And JavaScript is like giving your house electricity. That's the best explanation I heard from one of my old people whom I learned programming from somewhere about 7 years ago. So they're actually different things, but you can actually merge both HTML and CSS in an HTML file. Maybe that's the direction that the person is coming from, right? But let's not go. Let's not complicate stuff. Let's keep it simple. HTML, CSS, JavaScript. HTML for building the structure, CSS for doing the decorations, and JavaScript for giving interactivity and life to the website, like electricity. I hope you are good. If you are good, please type good again for me in the chat before we go for the break. That's a nice question. I like that. Awesome. Great, 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 great. Okay, so let's go for a break. You love breaks, right? When you're learning, you need breaks, else your mind will jam. The rest of the stuff, I won't talk about them. Just spend some time and read through them. Okay, so let me end this slideshow and then we start our break. Okay, so we've finished with the first part. What have we done so far? We've introduced our interface, the web page to you, and we've just walked through our slides, right, for this first live session. As mentioned, okay, these slides are very brief and straight to the point. They are more detailed materials we'll share at the self-paced section, right? We can't do everything in the live class, so will be shifting some of the content to the self-paced section. Just take note of that. So by the end of today, all that you need for your week one self-paced, we may even upload 3 weeks every time we meet over the weekend, right? So the self-paced sessions when you actually get detailed content or notes to read and prepare yourself very well for the AWS exam. But what we try to do in our live Saturday sessions and sometimes Sunday sessions is to just give you an overview. Then when we are done with the overview, we jump onto the lab. Okay, one of the labs, we try to do it in the class. The second lab is your homework, right? And then whilst you're doing the homework, we also create a catch-up lesson so that the other mentors will walk you through in case you are getting stuck or you're stuck somewhere. Usually we'll do this on Sunday. So you try the second one after the class. If you're not able to do it, tomorrow, Sunday, somewhere 2 p.m. GMT, UETC, one of the mentors, okay, with Cloud Chat will just open a call 2 p.m. GMT and do the second lab with you. That is, if you struggle to do it today, tomorrow we'll walk you through this. Okay, so that's how going to be the format. Every week we enjoy some 11 slides, or yeah, then we walk through one lab together. Then we let you try the second lab, which is a little more difficult than the first lab on your own, right? Then you do the quiz, and then after that, throughout the whole week, you focus on the self-paced materials to just refresh your memory and to get more depth in preparation towards your exam. Awesome. Let's continue. Then alongside your jokes, your flashcards, all the other stuff, all for you, for free. Okay, now lab one. Let's open up lab one. Yesterday, we realized our lab one was not mobile friendly. You could not actually open it on your mobile phone, but we fixed that issue, right? So today you can open your lab session on your mobile phone and look at all the steps. And these are detailed labs. So we expect that you shouldn't have to struggle creating these labs, right? Because all the steps have been given to you with detail, great depth. So as I mentioned, today we are not going to build the three interfaces as a website. No, we'll just focus on building the front end. And that's why we are going to host on S3 bucket, just the front end, right? And whenever you are just doing only front end without back end, we call that kind of setup a static website because obviously it can't accept information and change or update information, right? Because there's no backend logic to take that information and there's no database to store that information. So it's just static. Whatever you create, you can't change it on the fly unless you add the back end to it, right? But we just want to focus on front end today. That's all. Static website. Awesome. So this is our architecture, and we'll focus on the last part, creating the S3 bucket and then placing your code on the S3 bucket. If there's time, we'll add the cloud front to it today. If there's no time, we'll just keep it and do that tomorrow. Then once we create the website, we can just share the link with anyone, anywhere in the world, and they can make use of our website or visit our website. So whether you are selling food, let's say wache, jollof, Ghanaian jollof, Nigerian jollof, you can create a website today and then host the website, right? And share that link with everyone in the world. Okay, now this lab one. So what you'll be building today, we need to just clarify these things. Hold on. So one thing you need to create an S3 bucket. Then we are doing static hosting, right? Only front end, right? Then we need a bucket policy. AI will do this for us. We'll generate this thing with AI. Then CloudFront, if there's time, then we get the public URL, obviously. Then voila, our portfolio site should be working for us. All right, let's get started. So before taking too much time, let's just log into our AWS account. So I go to amazon.com. Then I come to sign in to console, right? So those of you who've created your account successfully, we have two ways of logging into your account. The first one is to use the IAM user, right? And you can only sign into IAM user if you created this user. If you've not created this user, you can't sign into IAM user. What is an IAM user? An IAM user is just, should I say, friend account, okay, or a small account you create on your AWS account. Now, what does that even mean? Back in the day, I used to have a computer at home, a very big one, right? The big type. So I have this computer at home. It was the only computer, probably even in the neighborhood, right? Then when you log into my computer, you will see something like this, dad, you see mom, the computer is not really for the guy, it's for the whole family. You see sister one, you see sister two, you may even see grandfather here. See, all of these are user accounts on the computer, and that's what IAM is all about. So the one who actually owns the computer may be my dad, right? And he is what we call the root user. All of us are just benefiting from his computer by just creating accounts. So he created these accounts for us. And these are the IAM users, right? I hope you remember these days. Okay. But right now, everybody has a laptop, right? Each person for himself, each person, one man, one computer. But though back in those days, you can't afford to buy many computers. Just one, the whole community maybe end up using it. Okay, awesome. So that's what AWS does. The root user is the one who opens this account. So the email and the password you chose when creating this account, you are the root user, right? You have the root credentials. Then later on, you can decide to create IAM users. Maybe you employ a developer, a front-end developer, and you want him to build your website and host it for you on AWS. You don't know much about software development, right? But you just create an IAM user for him that he can also log into your AWS account and use the services to build that website for you, right? And probably you can even restrict the permissions he or she has. That's what all that IAM user is about. Now, what do we recommend? After you create your AWS account, log in as a root user, create another user and call that user an admin user. That is for your own self, because we don't recommend you even log in all the time with your root user credentials, because that is your master key, right? And if you go to one of our stories, you see that, right? We have one story like that for IAM. So you go to our stories section. After this lesson, you can go and read on that. Where is that story? This one. So you read about the shop owner, the root user, and all of that, right? So go and look at that later on. Okay, so back to our lab. So you create the account as a root user, email and password. But when you get inside the account, create another user we call the IAM user and get the credentials for that user. Then each time you want to log in, don't log in with the root. Just keep the root credentials somewhere safe. And now log in as an administrator, not a root user. Reason is simple. If your root password and credentials get compromised, the person has taken over your AWS account. Why is that so troubling? Because your AWS account is linked to your bank card. So if a hacker gets access to your AWS account, the person can create about 1 million servers. Use it to hack the US, right? In your name. Within 1 hour, he has finished his hack. He's raised your bill to maybe something like $200,000 within 1 hour. He has hacked the US government in your name. So imagine what will happen after 1 hour. FBI will be at your door, right? Okay, I just painted the worst case scenario picture, right? But it may not be that horrible. But just take the advice. Don't use your root credentials anyhow. Just use it when you really need to use it. So let's say if a hacker takes over your account, not with the root user, but with any of the other users you created, you can log into the root user and go and delete that user. But if the hacker gets or logs in with your root user and is performing a hack, right? A malicious activity with your root user credentials, how are you going to stop him? There's no way to stop him. So that's why we prefer you don't play with your root user credentials. Okay, but for the purpose of demonstration, I am going to log inside with the root. Don't tell me I'm giving you an advice, I'm doing something else. I just want to show you how it works. Okay, so I'm signing in with the root user, not with the IAM user. Then with the root user, all you need is your email and what? Password, right? So I have one from Get Skills I'm going to use. Oh, what happened? Okay, hold on. So, okay, signing into this one. I give my email and a password. I've enabled multi-factor authentication on this account. So usually it will ask me for a PIN, right? Root user must really be protected. Okay. So I've now entered into my AWS account. Voila, amazing. This is where all the magic happens, right? So once you're able to see this interface, it means your account is really working. Okay, now let me quickly create another user. That's so that I don't have to log in with my admin user all the time. And what service does that for you? Is the IAM service, this one, IAM service. So you click on, if you don't find it, just type it in the search box, IAM service. Then you go to here, you click on IAM. Then it opens the IAM dashboard for you. Don't look at anything here to get confused. Look at the left side, right? Let me make my browser big. Then on the left side, you will see IAM users. Yeah, click on that. And then look at the orange button here, create a user, right? So I'll just create a user. All I need is a username. So I can just call this one admin user. I'll call it admin user. I'll give it access to the management console. Then I'll just leave it at auto-generate password. I don't have to show you the password, no. Then I go to next. So the rest, I'll leave it on default, right? So here, I must give the person the admin user permissions. I'll give the admin user permissions, right? So I can add the admin user to a group. Let's say there are a group of developers already working for me. I'm creating this IAM user and I want him to be part of that developers group. I can add him, but that's not what I'm trying to do right now, right? I'm just creating an independent user. So I go to attach policies directly. These are the permissions. Policies just tells you what you can do and what you cannot do. That's what we call policy. And since this is an administrator user or administrative user, I'll look for the administrator access so I can do almost everything I can do, right? So I just select, if you can't find it, just type admin straight, it will come up. Then you just check on the box here. So I'm giving my user this level of control or power, administrator access. And with this, he can do almost everything the root user can do. But still, the root user still has power over this user. Just take note. So once I select that one, I go to next down here. And then I click on create user. That's all I do. So creating an IAM user is as easy as ABC. No stress. Go to IAM, click on users, and then click on create users and just follow the steps. When I'm done creating the user, it's done. It gives you a way to log into this user, right? Right now I'm using this browser with the G here. I'm going to log into another browser or these credentials with another browser. So let me just copy the credentials. I'll copy the URL here. But you can actually download all of these credentials, right? In case you forget them, you can always find it. How do you download the credentials? You come here, download.csv file. When I click on this download.csv file, it downloads the credentials for me, right? Awesome. Once those credentials are downloaded, I can always open it with Excel, okay? And I'll see the username, password, everything there. But I want a quick way to just log in right now. So let me move this screen to the left. I'll open another browser screen here, right? And I'll move this one to the right. I'll copy the URL from here. I'll paste it here. I'll hit enter. It's open it for me, right? It has already pre-filled the account ID for me. I don't even have to do that. What I need is the username. So I come and click here to grab the username and I paste it here. I grab the password from here and I paste it here. And I click on sign in. Now, I try to sign in, but it's telling me to change my password, right? This is just an automated way of making sure that even that the one who created the IAM user for you doesn't know your current password. So I just go and grab the old password. I grab it from here. I paste it here. And I create my new password here. Okay, Google is recommending some for me. Let me just choose my own. And I retype it here. Okay. And I click on confirm password change. Maybe save. Close this. Now I continue to sign in. So I use the root user account on the left to create this admin user on the right. That's all I've done. So that anytime I want to log in, I'll no longer log in as root user, but I'll use the admin credentials. Where will I find them? I actually downloaded them here. Here. This is downloaded as an Excel or CSV file. So I can always open this file, right? If I open the file, it will appear as an Excel sheet, right? Then over here, you can see the credentials in it. The username is here. This is the old password. So when you even copy it, you can't open it. And this is the URL. So that each time I want to now log in to my AWS account, I will not use my root credentials. I'll come and use these credentials. If it's understood, just give me a good in the chat. Don't worry about the account. We'll create it within. As time goes on, you create it. Don't worry. My team will help you create the account. And AWS support team is also there to respond to those queries, okay? So right now we've created an account or a small sub account we can now be logging into instead of logging into our main AWS account. So the root account, let me just keep it somewhere. And right now I'm going to the labs. Okay. So I'm now in my IAM account over here. What are all these things? Let me say done. Okay. So the lab one, we have about 10 minutes. Can we do this? Hopefully. Okay. So we've learned IAM, right? At least we've learned IAM. We've done hands-on with IAM. So all of you, I encourage all of you to please create your IAM accounts and stop logging in with the root user details. Okay. Now, if you are in AWS account or your IAM account, what is the first step? Let's go to the lab steps. The first step, okay, you've already set up your account. You have your HTML file ready. I'll give that to you and a text editor, Visual Studio Code. Okay, good. Now, our portfolio files, this is what we have to prepare. So we just have to create a file called index.html. And we'll just paste all of this code. It is a custom code, right? We'll paste all of this code in that file. Right? We'll paste all of this code in that file. When we are done, we'll create our S3 bucket. Okay. Then after we created our S3 bucket, we'll come and load the file into the S3 bucket. Then we'll just change permissions on the file so that the file can now serve our website. That is all we will do. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, we are going to create this file within a second. So let's do that quickly before we come back here. So let's go to our folder. Let's minimize all the tabs. Go to our desktop and I'll right click, okay? And I'll go to new. I'll create a new folder here, right? I'll call this folder lab 1, let's say lab 1A. Okay, good. Let me open this folder. So I've opened the folder called lab 1A, right? Please, I'm going to use an approach to do this, so just watch carefully. So I've opened a folder called lab 1A, and I'll right click in this folder. Right click in this folder. I go to show options, and I can go to git bash here. That's all I did. It's just one way of doing it. I'll show you another way of doing it. I'm going over again. I open my lab 1A. Right click in an empty space inside this lab 1A. Okay. Then I'll go to show more options and git bash here. So you have to have git bash installed on this computer. If you don't, you cannot use this approach. Then I'll just type one command to create the file that we need. And it's called touch. I told you touch is used to create files, right? Touch index.html. And I hit enter. See what happened? The index.html has been created for me. This is amazing. Linux works, right? I'm going to do it again. I'm going to just delete this file. Once you're inside the project folder, right click, right? Go to show more options. Open git bash here, click on that. Then touch, type touch, okay? Type touch, then the name of the file, index.html, and hit enter. Once you hit enter, see, voila, the file is created here for us. That's all you need to do. So I close my git bash. I don't need it again, right? Now this is the file we are going to upload to our S3 bucket. But currently this file is an empty file. So we have to go and copy the code and place it inside this file. We have about 3 ways you can paste the code inside this file. Don't try to open this file directly. No, it's a web page. It will open in your browser and it will be empty. So what you can basically do is, you can either use Notepad to open this file and paste the code inside it, or preferably you can use Visual Studio Code to open it. Let's do Visual Studio Code, right? Or Notepad is even like the straightforward one for today. So I'll click on this file here. I'll right click. Either Notepad or WordPad, you can use any of them. Then I go to open with. Open with, you can open with Notepad or Visual Studio Code. But because I want us to do this very fast, Notepad is like easier. So I just click on Notepad. And then Notepad opens this file for me. There is nothing inside it, nada, nothing. So the code you need for this project, I told you I've given it to you already in the lab. Let's go back to the lab and go and copy that code, right? All of this code here, copy it. Click on copy button, it copies it. Minimize the screen. Please don't type whilst I'm typing, just focus on the video, just focus. When I'm done, you can always pause the recording and do this on your own. And I paste the code here, right? This HTML code I'm pasting here. And there's some CSS also inside here. But see, don't worry about this stuff. So the HTML code, this shows as an HTML code. It has a head part. Within the head part, it starts with the head, ends with the head. Please don't touch anything in the head part. In the body part, you can feel free to edit things there. But the head part for now, don't touch anything there, right? So you can see the head, it starts from here, open head, close head. It looks scary, right? But don't worry, we are not going to do coding today. Then the body part, see where the body part starts from here and ends here. Your name, please just change this one to your name. I'm changing this to my name here, so I'll type Shadrach, right? You can choose to change this. You can just choose to just upload the file as it is without worrying yourself. So I just type Shadrach Daku here, okay? Then aspiring cloud engineer, I leave this one. I won't touch this one. I'm learning AWS through all the other stuff. I will not even touch them. I'll just leave everything like this. And I'll just go to file and save. That's all. File, save. When I'm done saving, I can minimize all of this and it goes away. Now, I'm done. That's all of you have to do. Nothing more. Now that we've pasted the code using Notepad into the HTML file and we've saved it, let's open this and see how it looks like. So I can double click on this one right now. And voila, this is my website. A simple one, right? But it's a starting point. So it's like a mini CV. My name is here, what I want to be, my role, about me, my skills, and then my contact information. So all of these stuff, you can open Notepad again and edit them. Like your email, you can open Notepad again. There was an email section here, right? You can look at it, you can find it down here somewhere. So you can change it from you at example.com to maybe, if I want to edit it, I'll just clean this one. And maybe type shadrach@gmail.com. When I'm done, my handle, if I have any handle, I don't have one off head right now, but I can say at Shady DevOps, right? And I'll just click save. File, save. I go back, refresh the page or open the website again and see. So this is editing HTML is so easy. You just have to find the placeholder of what you want to change and just type it inside there directly. That's all HTML coding may look like. Very, very easy. Okay, now let's go to that folder. Let's find that folder. This is the folder. And the folder is on my desktop, right? So when I even close this whole thing, and if I minimize this is the folder, lab 1A. I open it. I still see my file there. Good. This is all we need for S3 bucket. Okay, going back to my S3 bucket. Now, my S3 bucket is in my IAM account. Let me go there. Good. So over here, I look for my S3. So S3 is a service, right? So just type S3 in your AWS account. The first link that appears here, click on it. When you click on that link, it opens S3 service for you. So we are just going to create a bucket and then upload our website to that bucket. That's all you have to do. So I'll go to create bucket. It's an orange button, very visible, right? Let me make my screen bigger. So I click on the create bucket. And you have to do just some few things here. The bucket name. So I want my website to be called, let's say, shadrico.com. Shadrico.com, right? Or this one is too funny. Let me try shadrachcv.com. Yeah, shadrachcv.com. Okay. Then that's the name. What do I have to do next? This block public access. I want everybody to see my website. Why should I block it? Let me uncheck this so that everybody can see the website. I unblock it, right? Then AWS wants me to be sure that I really want everybody to see my website. So it's asking me, am I sure? I'll just take this one and say, yes, I'm sure. Okay. Once I'm done with that one, I scroll down here and then I do nothing else. Nothing else, nothing else. So all I have to provide is my bucket name, like the name that I want to give my website, right? Then I just unblock my website from public access. Then that's all. I click on create bucket and voila, the bucket is being created for me. This is how easy using AWS is. Just button clicks, at least for the beginning stage, and you are done. Now, this bucket has been created for me. What do we have to do next? According to the lab, we have to upload the file, right? So just go here. You see the upload button here. Click on the upload button. When you click on the upload button, then over here, you can see add files, right? And we want to add our web page file. So I click on add files here. Then when we click on the add files, I go to my desktop, right? It was on my desktop. I go to my desktop, go and look for that folder. The folder was called Lab 1, right? Lab 1A. I open that folder, and that is my file sitting right there waiting for me. So I click on the file and then click on open. Voila, the file is open here for me. Good. What do I have to do next? Just come scroll down here and click on upload. Because this is the file I want to upload. Now, be careful when you are naming your first file, make sure to name it index.html as I also did, right? So I click on upload. Okay. Then it has been uploaded to my bucket. The file is now in my bucket. Okay, some few more settings and this file will be live on the internet. Everyone can now see my CV page. So let's go back to the bucket. So I click on close because I've already finished uploading. Now I'm now in the bucket. Okay, shadrach.com. Now we have to change some settings here to make sure that this website works. The first thing is to go to properties, right? There's a tab here called properties. So click on the properties tab. Then scroll down to the last thing over there, the last item there. And what do you see here? Static web hosting. Static web hosting. What do you have to do here? Nothing. You just want to click a button called enable. That's all. So at static web hosting, move your mouse to edit and change it from disable to what? Enable. That is all. That is all. Then you just scroll down and they're asking what's the name of our index document. Of course, it is just the same as index.html, right? Then that's all you do. You don't have to do any other thing. Then click on Save Changes. Save Changes. When I'm done, I'll go over. Don't worry, I'll go over. Then one more thing to look at, permissions. Now permissions also, we have to just change one thing here, and it's called the bucket policy. That's all. So the bucket policy is also a policy on the bucket itself that makes its content available to everybody on the internet, right? So what do I have to do? I just click on edit policy, edit. Do I need you guys to write this policy? No. ChatGPT can write this policy for you. You can just ask ChatGPT, I have a bucket called shadrachcv.com on AWS. Generate a policy for me so that I can save my website. It'll give it to you, right? But I also created or added it to the page, right? So that I can easily copy from there to the lab instructions. Either you ask ChatGPT to do it for you, or you just come here and copy the lab instructions, right? Where is that? Let me find it for you. My lab 1. Okay, this is lab 2. Let me find lab 1. Hold on, let me get the lab 1. Okay. So let me open it again here. So lab 1, yeah, this one. When we scroll, we'll see the policy. So this is the web page we copied. And now the policy is also somewhere here. Yeah, this one. If you can't find it, we can just generate one with ChatGPT. No header. So I'll copy this policy here, copy. And I'll go back to my edit bucket policy and I'll paste it here, right? Now, after you've pasted your policy, you only have to change one thing here. That is the bucket name, right? Your bucket name. It's just a placeholder. So my bucket name is even right here. I can just copy it from here or paste it here in place of this placeholder called your bucket name. So delete this one from here. Don't delete these dots. Don't delete anything. Just this text here, your bucket name. So I delete it and I just paste my bucket name there. shadrackcv.com. That's all I do. Do I change any other thing? No, don't change any other thing. So I click on save changes. And voila, I'm done. So two things I did, or let's say three things, or four. We created a bucket, right? Then we removed the block public access from the bucket. We came to properties, we scrolled down, and we enabled static web hosting. Then we came back to permissions tab, and we scrolled to the bucket policy. We clicked on edit. We generated a policy, and we pasted it here. If you want to generate one with AI, just go here, ChatGPT, right? And then it can also generate one for you. So just tell it, I have an S3 bucket called shadrackscv.com. I need a bucket policy to serve my static website. That's all. So you see, it gives us the policy here, right? And because I even told it the name of my bucket, you see, it has even added the name for me. It's the same as what we got. You just copy this policy by clicking this button and pasting it here. This is an alternative way of getting the policy. So don't stress about getting the policy. Either you copy my own or you use ChatGPT's created one. When I'm done, I click on Save Changes. And that is all. That is all. Now, how do I share the link with you guys? I still have to go back to properties, right? If I go to properties, where we enable the static web hosting, we were given a link over there, this one. So I'll copy this link, paste it in my browser, and see if my website is working. I click on enter. And voila, my website is working. Let me share the link with you guys. Try opening it and let me know whether it works for you. So today, you can also create your own portfolio or CV website by just changing the name part as I did and changing your email address and what have you. Later on in the course, we'll give you a professional portfolio site to host, right? I'll share that one with you tomorrow. So when we do our office hours tomorrow, we are going to actually use a professional portfolio site, right? Not this toy one, no. And we'll host that one, and all of us will all be required to host that for ourselves, right? And you can share that one on LinkedIn or any other place. Awesome. If it works, just tell me it works in the chat. And we are done for today. Tomorrow office hours, we'll go over all of this again. And then we'll do the part 2 of the lab work. Awesome. It works. I'm excited. Sweet. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So team, that's all for today's live session. It was really a lot to take in today, right? Jumping from the interface to looking at the slides and then coming to AWS to create an IAM user and finally host our live website. 2 hours for this. It has been a long time, right? Journey, but I hope you enjoyed it. Awesome. Okay. So tomorrow, office hours, don't miss tomorrow's office hours, right? Because tomorrow, no slides. When we come, you just open the console and it's just lab work. We'll do this lab work again from scratch. Then we will do the second lab. That is your assignment. So make sure you go to lab 2. Try to do lab 2 on your own. Don't worry if you cannot do it. Tomorrow, my team will be here to help you with lab 2. And then it will be a good revision for you. So don't miss office hours tomorrow, 2 p.m. GMT. See all of you. So I'll end the recording, but before I end the recording, I'll just allow 5 minutes. If you have any question, you can ask me before I stop today's recording. Okay. So I'm going to allow you guys to unmute. You can ask me any question. Just raise your hand. And then I'll let you unmute. So I'm coming, let me do that, change the settings. Okay, good. So let me take some questions. Lord, your hand is up.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Lord.
Yeah, please. Thank you for today. It's been wonderful. Please, with the account,
Mm-hmm.
I've created one, but when I tried to log in, the password was not working. So now my question is, being the what's the name?
The root user.
The root user.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? Can I get the password I use?
Or alternatively, you can delete that user and create a new user. Make sense?
Yeah, but I just want to know, does it mean I can't get the password from my root account?
You cannot do that. Are you talking about getting the password or resetting the password? Which is which?
No, no, getting the first password that the user,
No,
I used to create the I am user.
no, you can't get it. That is if you do not download it. So sometimes,
Yeah,
often, I advise that when you create the root user, sorry, the IM user, download that file, the CSV file, so that you always have that password. But if you did a reset of the password and you still can't find that password, then you may have to just create a new user. Make sense?
mhm. Yeah, but that means whatever would have been done in that I am account, it means I was going to lose it.
Okay, so if you create services, right, those services will not be gone, they'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
understood. Yeah, it's that simple. The services will not go, they'll be there. The services are not attached to the user, right? The user just gives you access to the account. But when you use the user to create services and the user is deleted, those services are not deleted together with the user, no.
Okay, thank
Welcome, sir.
Yeah, Shadrach.
But what you can do is that you can actually reset the password, but you cannot get the old password again. So you can use your root user to reset the password. So try that, right?
you.
So go log
Okay,
into the root user and you try to use the root user to reset the password.
okay, thank
Okay,
you.
awesome. Next one.
Shadrach, when are you loading this video?
As soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but it will be within an hour. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Somebody called Ajo Kacha. Ajo Kacha, your hands up. Ajo Kacha, your hands up.
What is she like?
Yeah, your question.
Good one. I literally joined late, but I get the part you just explained. I need to ask some few questions to
Yeah, go ahead.
different from the special domain name and hosting platforms.
Okay, you want to know how different AWS is special or different from the other domain name hosting platforms, right? So AWS is just an alternative, right? So you can still use the other hosting platform to host your website. But currently, we want to explore AWS. That's why we are focusing on AWS. But you can use the other ones like Hosting, Name, Cheap, all the other hosting platforms. But AWS is also another alternative. That's my simple answer. But AWS goes beyond hosting websites. It is more than that. This is just one little part of it, right? You can use AWS to do much more than just hosting a website, many more stuff. Okay, next person, Becky.
Shadrach, please,
Yeah.
after you've posted the portfolio on the website, if you want to edit something, how do you edit it?
So you just edit the file and re-upload the same file again. When you re-upload the file, it overwrites the old one. As simple as that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Awesome. Isaac Apia.
Yeah, hello, Mr.
Yeah,
Shadrach.
yeah.
Please, I would like to know if the lesson will be pushed to our GitHub account. Like, you will help us to do that. Is that possible?
You want to push the lesson to your GitHub, like you mean your portfolio
Yes,
site?
yeah, my
Yeah,
portfolio
we'll talk
site.
about
Yeah.
GitHub next week in the office hours on Sundays. Next week, Sunday, we'll treat GitHub,
Okay.
okay? Yeah, so don't worry
Okay.
about that for
Thank you
now.
very much.
Welcome.
Hi,
Okay,
Shad. Hi, Shad.
yes, yeah,
Before
go
we
ahead.
go, two questions, please.
Sure.
In answering Lord's question, you said, what do you call it? Services are not attached to the users.
Yes, let's go.
Okay, so does that mean what is attached to the users, if I may ask? What do you risk losing when you delete an account? And then in explaining the IAM, you said something about you gave an example of having different accounts on a computer. I remember
Yeah,
back then, it was possible to change your password from time to time. Anytime you feel like your password has been compromised or something, you are free to change it. Does it work the
yeah,
same with AWS as well?
yes, you can also do that.
Questions.
So the first question, I'm going to write again. When you delete IAM user, you do not, it doesn't delete the services or infrastructure they created, right? Like the EC2, the bucket, database, it doesn't delete that, right? So you don't lose those stuff. But what you just lose is just access. IAM just gives you access to those, what do you call those services.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So you just get access. The
Okay.
other stuff, but I don't want to talk about them now, so I don't confuse anyone. But let's just assume this one for now.
Okay.
But the
And
services
then
created are not lost. Yeah.
okay.
And the
And then that
password
means
reset
that
too is possible. Yeah.
okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay. There's one somebody called user. Your hand is up. You can unmute and talk.
All right, Shadrach, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
All right, okay. I think my question is a little bit off from today's section. I'm still having problem creating my AWS account. I think I'm unable to verify my contact, so I'm not able to access the full service on the platform. So it is, what should I do? I've contacted their support, but
Okay. So the other
uh,
recommendation was to try to create it on your phone. Have you tried that?
okay.
So try
Yeah, I
creating
did
it
that. I did
through
that.
through your phone, and it still didn't give you the confirmation message.
Yeah, they say I have to verify my contact first. I'm able to open the main page though, but when I try creating the IAM account, they direct me to, I think they said I haven't finished creating my,
Yes, it
providing all
means
my,
that, yeah, I'm sure you still have to confirm something, right? So probably tomorrow office hours 2 p.m. GMT. Let's look at that. Okay. Office hours
all
are
right.
more of you guys than me, right? So during the office hours, I allow you guys to talk a lot. Today I muted everyone, but during office hours, you're allowed to ask many more questions and even share your screen with me. So let's do that tomorrow
All
office
right.
hours. Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Shadrach, last one.
Yeah.
For the purposes of practicing, if you
Mm-hmm.
go onto the AWS console and you create a bucket, you do all you have done, can you just wipe them away and then re-practice again? Is it
Yeah, you can
possible?
delete the resources. You can
Okay,
delete your bucket or even create another bucket and use for your experiment. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
We just want to be practicing and be okay with it.
Sure, you can do that. Okay, it has been an amazing time with you guys today. Hopefully, catch you all in tomorrow's office hours. The recording, when it's uploaded, you can find it here at the recordings. Once it's ready, I'll upload it here. So you can have it here week 1. Okay. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Have a nice time.